My name is Cochsie Pearson. I am the president of Ivy Scholar Success, and I have the privilege to be sitting here with the dynamic Dr. Maisha Jordan, who is the president of the Dimock Center. Dr. Jordan, thank you so much for giving Ivy Scholar Success this interview.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. And one thing I would like to discuss with you is confidence. I noticed that when you walk into a room, you exude confidence.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, now a lot of these MBA programs, they talk about leadership. They talk about how you're able to move forward, regarding to build up good, strong leadership skills. But they don't really teach you about confidence. Okay, can you elaborate on how did you develop your great confidence?
Wow. Well, thank you so much for having me. Confidence. I think confidence is something that I haven't always had.
I'm surprised to hear
yeah,
that.
it's actually very true. As a child, I was very, very shy. I think as I started to expose myself to more experiences, you start to overcome some of that shyness. And so I think it's all about exposure. I think in high school, when I started to do more speaking, when I started to do more traveling and have different experiences, doing research and meeting different people, I started to overcome that in part. Certainly in medical school and as a resident, you have to give a lot more talks, you have to lead discussions, and so that helps to break you out of some of that. And then what I've learned to do more recently is as I'm out and networking, I realized that everyone has a level of sort of innate shyness, and what people appreciate is if you go up and just introduce yourself. So I'm very comfortable now walking into a room, to someone I don't know, saying, "Hi, I'm Maisha, what brings you here?" And that breaks that ice. And I find that I've never received a negative reaction to that. It's always been received well. And so I think people receive, being someone coming up to them, introducing themselves, and being confident in that very well, which then helps to reinforce your own confidence. I can do this. It worked that time. I can do it the next time, and I can do it the time after that. So it's all about exposing yourself, being willing to put yourself out there that first time, and then realizing and recognizing that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, and then it can just really help to reinforce your doing it again.
I see. Let's talk about breaking the ice. I mean, you mentioned that it's good to take the initiative, like when you go to an event, to approach someone and say, hello, hi, I'm Dr. Jordan. Okay, what type of advice can you give to someone who is very shy, okay, especially when they are uncomfortable, okay, of stepping outside their comfort zone to make that kind of introduction?
I think one piece of advice I'd give is to just sort of take it in increments. So one is to practice with people you know. Hey, I'm just going to walk up to you. So that is just sort of, you start to get the feel of the words you might say, of how you might go up to someone. And then finding smaller settings in which to practice that. And maybe it's a friend of a friend that you're introducing yourself to, so it feels a little bit more familiar and a little bit more comfortable. And then building upon those experiences, going out with a group initially and maybe introducing yourself with a group so that it's not you just one-on-one. But eventually, over time, building up those experiences so that when it does get to you and you're by yourself and you're in a larger situation, that you feel more comfortable doing it. It's hard the first time that you're trying to walk into a situation that's completely unfamiliar. But if you build it with baby steps, then I think it can be a lot easier in the end.
So taking baby steps.
Take baby steps.
I see. All right, excellent. Now, not only are you a very successful executive at the Dimock Center, okay, the president, okay, now what type of advice can you give to working moms? Because I know that it can be a challenge in terms of juggling a very successful career like you have, as well as being a wife, okay, and having kids. What type of advice can you give to a working mom who is in a position of just working 9 to 5, and she wants to take it to the next level like you?
I would say don't strive for perfection. I think we as moms and wives, we always try to be perfect, and there is no such thing as perfect. There are going to be some days where you hit it right and you feel really good about the interactions you may have had with your children or your husband. there'll be some days where you feel like I missed the boat on that interaction with my kid. And that's okay, because kids are resilient. Husbands hopefully are as resilient as the kids. But I think it's okay to just to know that you're growing and you're learning, you're expanding, and to not be afraid of taking those chances. And then what I try to do is when I have time with my family is to make that time special. And not that doesn't mean going out and doing things and paying for things, and but I'm looking my daughters in the eye. I'm not on my phone. I'm looking at my husband and
Wow.
spending time with him. We try to do date nights when we can, but having time where they feel like your attention is solely on them. And it may not be a lot of time. It may be that, I will get home from an event at 7:30. My children go to bed at 8 o'clock, but that half an hour is spent listening to their day, asking them questions about their day, and letting them know what I did during my day so that they feel part of the work. And also talking to them about why I do what I do. And I am very mission driven, so what the mission is of the organization. And if I can't be there, it's because the work that I'm doing is going to help someone ultimately. So explaining things and really understanding that your kids and your family are partners with you in it, I think will garner more support from them for the work that you have to do. But also just not trying to be perfect, because there's no perfect answer to any of this. And we will mess up and have days where we do some things better than others, and that's okay.
Lastly, you mentioned quality time.
Mm-hmm.
You said that it's just so important to spend quality time with your mate as well as your children.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is so important today?
I think because with all of the ways in which we can be connected through a device or connected, whether or not it's to our phones or iPads or others, that we don't often have that quality time with one another. And there can be times where I'll have to catch myself where my child is talking to me and I'm looking at an email and I have to physically say, Maisha, put the phone down. Look at her when she's talking to you. And so I think really trying to look at what are those quality interactions that, I never want to regret when my children are older. So really trying to focus in on eye contact, physical contact, hugging my child, kissing my child before they go to school in the morning or when I'm coming home at night. Those things are important. And I know my children need that, and paying attention to that, paying attention to when they need you, I think is really important. So I think quality involves all of that, but mostly involves your focus and your attention on that other person, on your child or on your husband or mate.
You stated that when you're home, you put the phone down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's critical that when you walk into your house,
mm-hmm.
that social media
mm-hmm.
is behind you.
Yes, I do my best, and it's hard. But I made the commitment to my kids years ago, and they hold me to it. You said you weren't going to have your phone, so no phones at the dinner table. We eat dinner together as much as I can be there every night.
Great.
And there's no TV on, so we're focused on the conversation at the table. Well, how was your day? What did you do today? And we talk about what was your one special thing of the day. That's our question that we all go through. So those things are important, and really trying to make sure that those external distractions are not part of our world when we're in our home and we're at that kitchen table or at bedtime, to making sure that it's just, a one-on-one or all together, that we're bonding as a family.
Wow, well, that is really fantastic, Dr. Jordan, because it is just, really significant that someone, of your stature, okay, to be in a position to just juggle, everything, such as your family, particularly your kids, your husband, and your job.
Mm-hmm.
And you are just a great example in terms of how it can be done. Ivy Scholar Success would like to thank you
Yes.
for this interview.
Thank you.
And to wish you continued success at the Dimock Center.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.